It's Saturday the 21st of December in the Vendée Globe, the skipper's 41st day at sea, and Yoann Richomme is really closing in on Charlie Dalin. It is a bit of a case of now or never for him, as he explains from the boat for us. The differences between the two designs mean that he is more optimised for these downwind conditions and will really need to get a lead on Dalin before they hit the Atlantic, where they could hit the upwind conditions that Dalin's boat is more suited for. We also give you an update from Nico Lunven, as well as the tracker, the leaderboard, and PredictWind options for Dalin, and also Ruyant, and looking at Clarisse Cremer, who has been caught the wrong side of this pressure system and is battling in light wind conditions and has let Justine Metro get away by quite a large distance. And then we finish off with showing some scenes on board Thomas Ruyant's yacht, and just how difficult it is to do the basics such as eating, and how you have to multitask doing things like the routing at the same time.
Well, I am doing well. We're on a downwind leg, so it's quite steady in the trim. There's not much to do trim-wise. Even the sail choice, the sail setup doesn't change much. It's intense, the match with Charlie. Yeah, I think I'm just following a bit behind. I'm happy he's in front. I don't feel the intensity of the match, really. I look what he does, and I try to do my own thing. We still have a month to go, so it'd be hard to have too much intensity for 1 month. The conditions actually, so downwind 20-25 knots. We're just playing a few shifts down to the horn. So there's just one last jibe. Ooh, the wind is dying. One last jibe before the horn, or before the long port leg to the horn. The main issue for us is to know if we are going to be close to the lighthouse or further away or even closer to the ice zone, and that depends on the weather in the southern Atlantic. So I have started to look at that to have an idea of what it looks like afterwards. So it's interesting. It's going to be more interesting than the Pacific. The Pacific has been quite steady weather-wise, and there hasn't been too much strategy or too much to think about. So it'd be good to get back into some more complicated system, maybe with different options would be nice. Charlie, yeah, we don't have the same boat. Yeah, so he's definitely more optimized for reaching and upwind, where I'm more optimized downwind. So it's part of the reason I think the last leg is going to be tough for me to beat him, but we'll see, because he's highly optimized for the way back up, the upwind back up to the Atlantic. So that's going to be a tough one. And I'll answer the nice last one. Do I check myself after the horn? Yes, I do, to know where to round the horn, and to start and understand what the systems are going to be like. And the good thing is we're going to come in on a ley line pretty much for like 4 days to the horn, so it doesn't affect much the weather changes after the horn. So for now we know how to go to the horn, and then we'll figure it out within the last few miles what we do after it.
Hello. So we are almost in the middle of the South Pacific Ocean. 1 week to go to the Cape Horn, roughly. I was expecting a very long and smooth Pacific swell, but unfortunately we have a very short and sharp sea state with 25-30 knots downwind, so not very comfortable. Quite hard to find the right way to handle the boat, because if you are going too fast, you break everything, and if you try to slow down, then you don't move forward. So very, very hard to find the right setup for the boat. And also the wind is very up and down. Sometimes you have 20, sometimes you have 32 knots. So quite challenging. We have Thomas Ruyant ahead of us and Jérémy Bayou. a bit behind. Let's see. It's going to be like that almost up to the Cape Horn, I think. We have 1 week of quite a difficult condition with short sea state, strong wind. We will see.
We start off on the Initiatives Cur website of Sam Davies to take a look at the different groups across the Pacific Ocean and those who are still to the south of Australia. The front three, led by Charlie Dalin and also Yoann Richomme, who are almost inseparable, and then Seb Simon just a little bit further behind. And then coming down in stronger pressure, we've got the group from 4th to 11th, with Thomas Ruyant in the lead of that pack, with Justine Metreau at the back, who managed to make it through that ridge of high pressure and get onto those proper prevailing winds. Whereas if you look just a little bit to the east of New Zealand, you can see Clarisse Cremer and Sam Davies, who got stuck the other side of that breeze and are now having to sail upwind. And that group goes back to Damien Seguin. After that, you've got the group who are just exiting the Indian Ocean, which they also have very light winds at the moment. All the way to the left of your screen, you can see then Antoine Cornic in 32nd place. Focusing in on the group from 1st to 11th place, who are on that depression, which is centred just to the south of Point Nemo, we can see the leading pair there of Charlie Dalin and Yoann Richomme, only separated by 2.4 nautical miles after having sailed 15,500 nautical miles. And there in 3rd place we've got Seb Simon. The front two, we heard Yoann Richomme talk about the optimizations of the yachts, how Paprec Arkéa is optimized for this downwind sailing, and this is really where he needs to make that advantage pay as they approach Cape Horn to see if then he can navigate that South Atlantic and the North Atlantic back to Les Sables d'Olonne, where Charlie Dalin, if there is some upwind sailing, his boat is far better optimized for those conditions. We can see there the group from 4th to 11th just using that strong pressure. Thomas Ruyant in the lead of that group. And you can see how that pressure, though, is beginning to swirl around, and those chasing boats may not have to jibe at the ice gate if they can just use that pressure to take a slightly lower angle, and that could play to their advantage, tightening that group from 4th to 11th even more. The brutal nature of missing out on a weather front and being caught the wrong side of a pressure system is highlighted in this picture here, where we can see on the right of picture Justine Metreau doing 18.8 knots in 23 knots of breeze, with it just across her starboard quarter, so really nice downwind sailing conditions. Whereas if we look over here, we've got Clarisse Cremer and Sam Davies, and they are having to sail upwind. You can see there Sam is just doing 10 knots in about 9.9 knots of breeze, and they're 12.6 knots for Clarisse, where she's just got at the moment 12-13 knots of breeze, and you can see that band of light wind in between them. The gap now is over 1,000 nautical miles when this group were completely together just a few days ago. The ranking at 0600 hours highlights the huge battle that's going on between Yoann Richomme and Charlie Dalin, and I'd expect a lead change within the next 12 to 24 hours, maybe within the next sked. And we can see there Seb Simon in 3rd place. Thomas Ruyant is holding off Nico Lunven in that little battle within a battle, 4th and 5th place, as is Yannick Besthaven holding off Boris Herman at the moment, 7th and 8th place. And Sam Goodchild staying ahead of Justine Metreau, but she has made up huge distances, and as we can see, that over 1,000 nautical mile gap now to Clarisse Cremer and Sam Davies, who are in 12th and 13th place. Another battle going on for 15th place between Roman Atanasio and Damien Seguin. And if we scroll down just a bit further there, in 20th place we can see Jean Le Cam, who is still the leading daggerboard boat. The PredictWind routing option for Dalin, which SailWorld.com's New Zealand editor Richard Gladwell has compiled, highlights the drag race nature to Cape Horn for him and Richomme. And then you can see that deepening depression behind, which will affect those chasing boats. As we can see though, it's the eastern side now of the Falklands which most of the routing options take. So we'll see how that plays out when they reach the South Atlantic. For Thomas Ruyant, the picture is more complicated, with a number of jibes to complete as he makes his way across the rest of the Pacific Ocean. And then this deep depression, we can see it further north at the moment, and it really starts to build on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas Day, he is going to be in the thick of the storm there as he approaches Cape Horn before it lightens off. And so that chasing group from 4th to 11th could have a really horrific Christmas Day at sea. For Clarisse Cremer and also Sam Davies, we can see that the light winds continue and she is battling those headwinds initially before tomorrow we start to see that they start to come from the north. It's only then on the 23rd and 24th of December that they start to build through Christmas Day, then strengthening, as the rest of the fleet will have powered away on those strong winds. And it isn't really until 27th, 28th of December that she really starts to use those strong winds as she makes her way towards Cape Horn. This clip in from Thomas Ruyant on Vulnerable really shows how little let-up there is for the skippers in the Pacific Ocean. The air temperature is just 3 degrees with 6 degrees water temperature this close to the Antarctic, and you can see that he is seriously wrapped up in the conditions, and even while taking a moment to eat he is checking on his routing options, looks out of the windows to see how the sail setup is. His concentration is continuous during those waking hours, and he's just making sure he's using every single minute to the full. Thank you very much for watching today. We will continue to bring you updates from the Vendée Globe every day, including Christmas, when it looks like the skippers in 4th to 11th places are going to have that really nasty looking storm. Please do subscribe to our channel using the button down here, and take a look at sailworld.com and yachtsandyachting.com, where we bring you all the latest news from the Vendée Globe and much more in sailing.